Good morning. Let me get a sip. I promised you a video of this table build, didn't I? Come on, let's get started. I bet you've seen a lot of videos where people show you what they're building or how they're building it. They may even go into great details to describe where it's being built. And if you're watching, you most certainly are aware of who you're watching build that video you're watching. But I believe this. It's safe to say you haven't watched a video that goes into great detail on the why. I want to talk about the why. I love to build with the story. And that's been true for like 7 years now. When I built the first table that I ever built, it's the table that sits in my home now from a tree that fell on our farm. The story, that why, man, that drives the build for me. And this table is certainly no different. So, let me tell you a story. On October 29th, 2018, I experienced what I can only describe as a simultaneous dichotomy of emotion that I hope I'm one of the only people that has ever experienced this. On that day, in the same moment in time, I experienced overwhelming joy, but at the same time, soul-numbing sorrow. I'd spent most of that day in the hospital with my wife. She was in labor awaiting the birth of our fourth daughter. Standing at her bedside, holding her hand while she was preparing to push. I'll never forget this detail. She was 8 centimeters dilated, and then my phone starts to ring. But it's in my pocket. Of course, I'm going to ignore it. I'm getting ready to have a baby. But my phone keeps ringing, and it keeps ringing. And my phone keeps blowing up with texts. So I'll pull out my phone. Casey, have you heard? I open it up and I listen to a voicemail that says, "Have you heard what happened to Ben? I'm so sorry." Now, still at this point, I don't have a direct answer. My wife is still in labor and nurses are gathering around saying, "Hey, you're getting ready to push." I finally get one concise text message. I'll never forget these 4 words. "Motorcycle accident. He's dead." Now I tell my wife what the text said, and being that she is in labor and about to have a child, she's already an emotional wreck, and she just bursts into tears. But I stand there blank, no emotion, holding her hand. My dear friend has died today, but my 4th lovely child is about to arrive. Which emotion do you allow to surface? Which emotion do you express? Both? Neither? I still need to be strong and supportive while my wife pushes to bring life into this world. That night, our lovely Mia was born. We stayed in the hospital for a couple of nights, and then we take her home to meet her 3 sisters. But as soon as we get home, and I mean as soon as we get home, get them settled in, and I have to turn around and leave, head to the funeral home, and speak as we lay my dear friend Ben to rest. Now, fast forward nearly 3 years later, I get an email from his sister Laura, who's also a close friend. "We need a large table. The pandemic and this social isolation, as well as the loss of Ben, well, spending time with friends and family has become even more important. And what better way to spend time catching up than all sitting together around a nice long table with food and drink to facilitate this." She also noted, "I'd like to have something engraved in the table about Ben, sort of a way as to speak to his permanent seat at the table." And candidly, I responded, and in true Doc Holliday fashion, I might add, "I'll be your huckleberry." Through more messages and back and forth sending of texts and different pictures of ideas of what she had in mind, we landed on a walnut tabletop with an ash base that was going to be just a tint of gray. That'll do the trick. But Laura had the idea. This design was like, it came from a very modern feel. It was a concrete top. I think maybe even the base was brass. But I had, as soon as I saw the table-based design, I had in my mind, I can do that out of some wood, and I can use bridal joints to put this whole thing together. And I thought that would just be such a cool look. And, you know, I've spoken a lot about irony so far here. Bridal joints. Ironically, Ben, I got licensed to wed so that I could officiate his wedding. Bridal joints. Who knew? So from this point, the last thing that came a question was the engraving. What, where, how? Oh my goodness, the irony. She didn't want just a glaring engraving on top of the table, but she also didn't know what would look appropriate. She wasn't certain of what she wanted to say, but she was certain that she wanted it to speak for Ben. After some consideration and perusing the depths of her nostalgic recollection of her little brother, she decided to have the lyrics to one of his favorite songs, which were ironically very appropriate, engraved in the base. The lyrics to Linkin Park's song, With You.
Wow. It's beautiful. Wow.
Is it ready?
It's ready, yeah, you can jump on it, you can dance on it, do whatever.
No.
Is that good, the placement?
I think it fills the space really nicely.
Yeah, and it's I love where that is because it's visible.
Is there a little detail that you haven't noticed on the top that kind of ties it all together too? I'm just waiting.
Pop quiz.
What about some chairs? What about some chairs?
What about some chairs?
No, we need some chairs.
Yeah.
Right here. The music note. Wow. That's really cool.
Nice.
The lyrics I etched into the base of this table. When Ben was alive, he had etched into his skin as a tattoo. Lyrics in the base are not obvious, but they also can't be ignored. A music note in the shape of a Dutchman is on the top to complement the lyrics on the base. It's true. The way I feel is promised by your face. The sound of your voice painted on my memories. Even if you're not with me, I'm with you. Details that were carefully chosen to commemorate a life that was abruptly taken.